So we're going out to the beehives. It is October 1st and my girls are awake and they're foraging. Let's see. Let's see if I can flip this camera around. There they are. So we're going to feed, and we're also going to treat with Apogard. I did a mite wash last weekend, and my number one hive here was at a 0.1%. These two hives were a little bit higher than what I like. I had 9 out of 300 bees, which I think is a 1%, but I'm still going to treat. And then I think it's 3 per 300 is what we don't have to treat for, so in Alabama. So 9 out of 300 is still like 3 per 300 or 3 per 100. So I'm going to treat hives 2 and 3. Hive 3 is my monster hive, and I don't have a super on it, but I think I'm going to pull it today so I can go ahead and treat. And they haven't been pulling comb on it, so we'll see. I don't really have any way to prop my camera, so I'll just have to come back. So I think I'm going to go into hive 3 first and get the worst over with first, since they're my nasty hive. Let's see if I can figure out something I can prop my camera up with here. I don't know if you can see it or not. I see my smoke. Okay. They're starting to purplize the top, so maybe they're drawing some comb out. I doubt it though. Ooh, big old roach. That sucks. So I take my top off and lay it on the ground. That way I can go into the hive and set my supers or my boxes over on it. Smack them a little bit. Check it to see if they're drawing comb, and if they're not, I'm just going to go ahead and pull the super in. Purplizing the heck out of it. Propolis is the glue that bees make to seal up cracks and so they don't have any air leaks. I'm just going to kind of go down the row here. I'm not really going to pull any. Doesn't look like they're really pulling any combs, so I'll just go ahead and pull this super and wait until the spring for honey. Right now there is a flow going on as far as nectar and pollen. Mostly what you see are the goldenrods. The bees do depend on goldenrods. There's a common misconception that goldenrods are bad for allergies. It's actually not the goldenrod. goldenrod pollen is very waxy. It doesn't typically blow in the wind because it's so waxy and heavy. Bees don't have any problem pulling it. But, and it kind of smells like in the hive, if you can kind of tell if the bees have been pulling goldenrod nectar, because it kind of smells like stinky feet. But it makes for some awesome tasting honey to me. I like autumn honey. So we're going to go into the brood box. And a little smoke. And the smoke basically, it warns them that there's a possible fire. So what they do is they go back into the hive and actually feed on honey. They fill up their bellies with honey. So basically they're kind of gentle when you go in there somewhat. This one isn't, but you know, that's okay. I'm probably going to requeen in the spring. But for now, she's a pretty good queen. So I'm going to set that right there. And pull this off. Start feeding these girls. I'll pull out a frame and show you. They're pretty well capped up in this one. So I met my queen last weekend in this one. I'm going to call her Queen Amidala because she's a tough cookie. So here's what it looks like. This is brood. So all these, the queen has been really busy putting brood in here, laying eggs all the way out to the side. So I'm gonna make sure the queen's not on here since she's laying brood. It's very possible she is. So I don't see her. So I'll just kind of set this one to the side. And look at a couple more frames while we're in here. So here we've got more brood. And you'll notice the different colors of brood. There's larvae, there's honey. They make kind of a rainbow pattern. So they lay their brood in the center, and then around it they'll put pollen, bee bread, and nectar. And I don't see my queen on there. So you can probably see that pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is, I didn't bring any pollen patties out. Oh, there's some little dead ones. Knock on wood, they're actually acting pretty gentle today. I got my cameras leaned up against the smoker, so I don't have to use it if I don't have to. So you can see the propolis. That's why we have to use this hive tool going in, because they really seal stuff off with propolis. Ooh, that's getting in my eyes. So I'm gonna pull this one up. This is a nice looking little frame here. So I want to make sure I don't lose my queen if she's on here. She's been a laying machine, I'm telling you, but we got swarm cells. So I'm hoping they're not planting a swarm this late in the season. Maybe they're just practice cells. That one's actually capped. So we're going to pull that one off. This is mostly just, you see the bee trying to sting me through my glove. That bee's fixing to die. Yeah, I know. Shouldn't try to sting me. They say to go in here with a purpose, and sometimes my purpose is just to kind of look around and say hello. I'm gonna slide that back down in there. You have to be pretty gentle, and I'm not the most gentle person in the world, unfortunately, with these girls. So we have to. They're starting to get a little angry, so I'm gonna smoke them a little bit. Put that down in there. See how they kind of run down in there. They're actually, I'll smoke myself. This is a pretty frame right here. I'm going to show you this one. Lots of honey. And let's see the top. Oops, sorry guys. So this right here is capped honey. They are in the process of putting nectar in these cells, and they'll be capped pretty soon. And this is what they'll be living off of for the winter time. Because I'm not going to pull this honey. Also feeding them, so you don't want to pull this honey anyway. So we got brood, we got nectar, we got lots of capped honey, some nectar that they're capping over. So it's amazing the process that they go through to make honey. They actually have a honey stomach, and when they bring in nectar, they basically store it in their honey stomach, and it mixes with different enzymes and such. And I'll show you this, how amazing this is to me. This is one of the bees down in there against the wall, so we're going to have to be careful, because when I put this other frame back in, they could get rolled and kill some of them, so we're going to be kind of careful with this. Smoke them. Back in. All right, girls. Inside. So, I'm going to go ahead and treat them and pull this. So, this may get kind of fussy here. So this is called Apogard. It's actually a natural treatment for honeybee, or actually a treatment for mites. And I'm not going to use, well yeah, I'm going to use a whole thing on this one, but I'm going to put it in the card instead of putting it in the, leaving the pack in there. Come on out. So, Varroa mites are a problem in the United States. They attack honeybees, and they actually attack the brood. And what happens, I need my shims on. So, put this on the top. I'm going to run inside real quick. Okay, I'm back. So when you're treating, you're supposed to use shims, and I don't have a shim board, so I'm actually going to use real shims. Great. And that's the obvious reason why you use shims. because it's stuck to the lid. Let's set you down as soon as I smoke these dry ass girls again. And put some shims in here. And what this is going to do, hopefully, is put them on like this with the angle down towards the front. So what this is going to do, hopefully, is give them a little air space in there with that treatment. And then I'm going to put a feeder on top. After I do this, it's going to give a little bit of air space for them. So I'm going to put my feeder on top, followed by a board. Put some feed. Ooh. And I'm hoping and praying this works because I've never used this feeder before. Give me about a gallon. Probably have to come out midweek and put some more in there. All right. Okay. So Varroa mites are, it's not the mites necessarily that harm the bees, it's the viruses that they carry. And so you have to be really proactive. Hang on, I'll put you down. I need to really work on getting the So that means that they're out foraging more than they are feeding, which is a good thing. That's awesome. And of course, you're gonna lose some bees. There's just no way around it. So, oh goodness, fertilize this thing down. Another thing you have to watch for here in the south especially is small hive beetles. Small hive beetles are really, really bad. Eating. Some of them are eating. So see, there's some pollen patty there that has been there for about 2 weeks. So they are out foraging, which is good. But I'm still going to put their feeder back on, treat them with some more Apogard. And the Apogard will treat them for 2 weeks. And some people just take it and, you know, leave this on here. But this is thymol. Apogard is a natural treatment. It's made out of thymol, which is the essential oil of thyme. And it's been proven that it does kill Varroa mites. So the bees come down and feed on it, and they take it back into the hive and into the brood chamber, where the mites actually attach to basically drone brood, but right now there's not a lot of drone brood. So let's put the feeder back on. Oop. There she is. So they do recommend, I mean, thymol doesn't bother me. It says that you need to use goggles and all that stuff, but I deal with essential oils all the time, so I kind of like the smell. And it's not super strong. It kind of smells a little bit like Listerine. So we're gonna put those shims there. And I'm gonna go ahead and top off. No, I don't think I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna top it off a little bit. Look at the little bee in there. So, let's put you guys back on there. And then we're going to go, whew, that's bright. I'm going to go into this hive. And I have said in the past, this is my sweet and gentle hive, but you know, you never know about these things. These are insects. They're not people and they're not dogs, so it purpleizes these boxes like crazy. I didn't have a heavy infestation in this hive of Varroa mites, but I'm still gonna treat because with my hives so close together, it's eventually gonna make it over here. So they're little mites, and they do. Oh, that one's empty. These girls have been drinking up this stuff. Yeah, these girls are hungry. They're building out comb like crazy. Some dead ones there. So, this is just a piece of cardstock. I mean, it is what it is. They will tear up this cardstock, and I'll probably find pieces of it all over the yard. It's okay. But they're gonna get treated. And I'm just kind of throwing these empties under the hives so that we can maybe do something for the small hive beetles too. Small hive beetles are another kind of pest. Like I said, we have them here in the south a lot. You go into different countries, and there's different countries that don't have problems with hive beetles and don't have problems with Varroa mites. They're very, very lucky. So we're going to shim that. You can see them all there in the, they come up into the screen and they feed from that. Probably could have come out here without anything but a face valve. They're all calm because there's nectar flow. When there's a nectar flow, bees are a lot happier. And they'll eat your feed. They are so much happier with what God gives them than what we give them. So I'm just gonna put as much of this one in here because these girls are really, they're eating a lot. And I'll come out next week and put some more pollen patties on. So I'm kind of scared of this thing maybe leaking. I don't know. I think so. That's 5 gallons. And 5 gallons, guys, that's a lot of sugar. We bought a 5-pound or 50-pound bag of sugar last weekend, and I've got maybe 10 pounds of it left because I used I think it was, let's see, it's a gallon of sugar for a gallon of water is a 1-to-1 feed, which is what I've got on right now. Now going into the winter time, if they need feeding, I will be going to a 2-to-1, which is 2 parts sugar to 1 part water. I'll show you the front. So there are my ladies up close and personal. And they are busy, busy, busy. So they're not really bothering me too much. I'm standing out of their flight path. I'm going to be moving my hives eventually, and I'm going to take them off of these boards. These 2x4s are starting to kind of concern me with the weight of the hives. To give you an example how heavy these hives are, one of these, this box right here is a medium, and it's 6 5/8 inches tall. And when it's full of nectar and honey and bees, it weighs about 50 to 60 pounds. These bottom, or these bigger boxes, they're called deeps. They're 9, I think they're 9 5/8. And they actually weigh about 100 pounds when they're full. And they're pretty, 70 to 100, depending on how full they are. They're pretty heavy. So if I ever complain my back hurt, you know why. I am stronger than I look, though. But you can see where I left shims. The bees are using that as an entrance, and that's kind of bothering me. I really need to make some shim boards and put out here when I'm treating, which I'll probably be doing that over the next, I don't know, maybe the next couple of months or so. I won't need to. The winter time is, you kind of leave them alone in the winter time and let them do what they're going to do, because they will get chilled. The brood will get chilled, but you're not going to see a whole lot of brood in the winter time. Usually we saw some larvae and some capped brood. So what's capped and what larvae is in there now, and what if the queen continues to lay at this point, that brood will actually live through the winter. Other than the queen, they're the longest living bees. Most bees die off within about 6 to 8 weeks. Most queens lay eggs at a rate of 1,200 to 2,000 a day, which kind of compensates for what dies off periodically. So the bees that will be hatching will be the ones that go through the winter time. right now. That, like I said, we have a really strong goldenrod nectar flow. Trumpet vines, my yard is awful, but you can kind of see the trumpet vines climbing through there. I have it full of trumpet vines right now, which we're about to clear, but I didn't want to clear it until they got every opportunity that they could to feed off of it. But there's all kinds of flowers blooming right now, so we have a pretty good fall nectar flow, but I don't think I'm gonna profit off of that nectar flow. I'm smelling that thymol now. But we'll just wait for the spring honey, and I'll deal with what I've got. And if I don't have enough to get me through the winter time, one of my mentors, I can get some off of them. They have really good honey, and that's where I got my bees from. So I started off in April, early April, late March, and I had 2 hive boxes, single deeps. I lost part of one to a swarm that happened shortly after I got them. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't, but that's okay. I know more than I did then. So one of them, like I said, swarmed. I lost that swarm. I tried to catch it, but I just didn't, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing, so I lost them. So what I did is later on, I noticed that this hive was starting to get overpopulated. And that third hive over there is the one that swarmed. So what I did is I split off this hive into a new hive, that one there. And so it gave me 3 hives. And then, rather than splitting again, I built their room to a second story. So what that does is it encourages them to lay and encourages them to increase their population. See all kinds of flowers blooming right now, and I've got zinnias in the front. I've got coleus. Hang on one second, I'm gonna take this off, take my gloves off. I'm not studying me, so I'm gonna take my veil off. It's hot. And then I'm gonna figure out how to get that boy around. Okay. It is warm. I am so freaking really pretty. After I come out of that thing, I am like pouring sweat. Sorry, no makeup. I don't do makeup when I go and deal with my bees. It is just too hot and too much sweat, and it burns. I mean, sweat burns anyway when it gets in your eyes. So I don't deal with makeup, honestly, on my days off. It's one reason my makeup lasts pretty long. So, alright, so we're back in the mule. I'm gonna go pull this back up to the back of the patio and get everything done. So I'm gonna turn this bad boy around. This mule is the lifesaver. Most people just use a little wagon to take their bee stuff to the hives. I actually put mine in the back of the mule. It's not very far to walk. You've got so many things to take to the hives. It's a lot. I don't run over my hose nozzle because let's get out. The dog bug can take it up. Okay, so I'm gonna see how my video did, see how it turned out, and we'll see if I can post it and I'll give you guys some education on bees. So have a good day. My dog has scattered my shoes. So I'm gonna come out of this suit because it is really hot. Even it's a ventilated suit, but it's still really, really hot. So, and it's sticking to me because I'm so sweaty. But anyway, that's it. Have a great day.